Alright, and double checking those seatbelts, make sure we're all still good. They should be low and tight. And everyone looks pretty good. Man, just maybe put that seatbelt right underneath that PFD. So put that on top. There you go. Just make sure it's nice and snug. There you go. Awesome. Alright, are we all set? Sweet. Let's spool up, go have some fun. Alright, here we go.
For the day when they said that the warrior
Alright, we're still working our way out of the airspace area, but we're passing the Willy Harbor here on our right-hand side. This is our only deep water harbor we have on the island. That's where all of our goods are shipped in with the big cargo ships and also a couple of cruise ships in a few times a week. And we also have the Hulea River here on our right, goes up beside the big Mena fish pond. And as we're making our way across the island today, there might be a few bumps here and there with the wind, especially over some of the ridge lines. That is completely normal and nothing to worry about if we do feel any of those bumps. It's been a pretty smooth ride here so far today, so I don't expect a whole lot. And this little beach area off to our right-hand side coming up is Kipukai Beach. That's one of the only privately owned beaches here on Kauai. So all the other beaches are all public access. So that beach was on lease to one family. I think it's until 2 generations. So after that generation passes, it'll go back to the state of Hawaii. But all the other beaches across the island are all public access. And those microphones are now active again, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you'd like to talk to each other, that's fine as well. Okay, this we're heading to the south shore of the island here. So we have the Poipu and the resort area coming up directly ahead. And pretty typical day here for Kauai. A lot of rain and clouds. That's why I think it's so green and lush here across the island. What's really cool here also is there's so many like microclimates across the island. So if it's like raining on the north shore, you can come to the south shore and be like a little bit sunnier like it is now. And usually the storms that come through, it's like a little bit of rain for like 10-15 minutes, and then it'll be sunny again. So just kind of bounce around and dodge rain. But the majority of the time, this is usually a lot sunnier here on this side of the island. And just coming off to our right is where the Grand Hyatt is, and just in front of that is the Shipwreck Beach. Really cool beach area there, and the cliffs that are kind of following the shoreline. There's actually some cliff jumping off there for those who are brave enough to do it. Got to be very, very careful. There's a cool little beach walk. There's a whole way along that cliff face, all the way up to, I think it's Galini Beach. And has anybody seen any sea turtles since they've been here yet? Nice, you have. Where'd you see them at? Was it on Poipu or somewhere else? On Poipu? That's one of the best spots here on the island. That's coming off here just off to our right-hand side. That's Poipu Beach there that goes into Keys, and there's also the Sheraton Beach a little bit further down the road. So right around sunset is usually the best time to see the sea turtles. That's when the majority of them show up. Kind of varies how many show up from day to day. But last time I was there between like 20 and 30 of them, and there was also a good chance of seeing some monk seals there as well. And how's everyone doing so far? So good? Awesome. And up front we have Hannah and Sherry, so where are you both visiting from? Montana. Is this your first time here to Kauai?
Yes, it is.
Nice. Any special occasion that brings you both here, or just visiting?
Just vacation.
Just vacation. Enjoying life, right? Awesome. Glad to hear it. And enjoying your time here so far? Awesome. Glad to hear it. Push a little bit harder at the top there. There you go.
It's also our mom's 80th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So there's 12 of us here to celebrate that.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. And we also have Lisa, McAaron, Eddie, and Aaron. So where are y'all visiting from?
St. George, Utah?
Utah. And is this your first time here to Kauai?
No.
Oh, it's not. So you knew how good it was. You had to come back for more, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. And enjoying your time here so far?
Yes, we're staying at the North Shore.
North Shore, not in Princeville area?
Yeah.
Nice. A very cool spot to hang out. And I'm actually from Pennsylvania myself, so I grew up on the East Coast. I was flying out there for a couple years before I went to Juneau, Alaska for about a year, flying to the glaciers up there before I came here to Kauai last year and flying here ever since. This is an amazing place to fly here. And just up ahead of us here, all these green fields off to our right-hand side, these are all coffee trees. This is the Kauai Coffee Company plantation. There's about 4 million trees there covering about 3,100 acres of land. So that's the biggest plantation for coffee, not only on the island, but also anywhere in the U.S. They also have a big visitor center. You can try all different kinds of coffee there. That visitor center is just in front of us. Past that little white water tower, past that is the big coffee mill, and that's where the big visitor center is. You can try all different kinds of coffee there and also buy some of your own. They have a big lanai, a big deck on the back kind of overlooking all of the coffee fields. It's a beautiful view there. And has anyone ever tried affogato before? I had it for the first time there, like, last week. I had never known about it. My friend was like, you got to try affogato. I'm like, what is that? It's like espresso and ice cream together. I'm like, what? You can do that? So it was a life-changing experience. It was really good.
Are the homes below private homes? Are they hotels or what are they?
These are all private homes here. So this is the big town of Kalaheo off to our right-hand side. So these are all private homes. And then as you get closer to like Koloa and Poipu, that's when it becomes a lot of like condos, resorts, and the hotels for that area. And this bigger town off to our left is called Henapepe near Port Allen. So that's also a lot of privately owned homes there. There are some hotels closer to the beach, but again, most of them are private. And just in front of us, we're going up into the Henapepe Valley up ahead. And the weather was kind of crazy here on Kauai, so we have a lot of rain. It just comes from like the east side of the island, and when it hits the center, you can see like further inland there's all that rain. So these mountains kind of soak up all that rain and all the clouds there. And then off to our left, as it makes its way to the western side, it's a lot clearer out there. That's the western side, much drier side of the island. That's where like the canyons are, but it's almost like a desert out there compared to like the jungles and rainforests here in the middle of the island. But it just changes so drastically in just a few different miles here across the island. The whole island itself is 20 miles across, so it's very tiny. It's just constantly changing weather. And has anybody seen Jurassic Park, the movie? So, you know, in the beginning of the movie was a helicopter lands in front of a big waterfall, right? So that's the same one we're flying to up ahead here. So there's going to be a few smaller waterfalls on the whole way left and right-hand side, the whole way up the valley here. But the biggest one there is called Mauna Vaiapuna. It's about 400 feet tall, and that's what's commonly referred to as Jurassic Falls, the same one used in the Jurassic Park movie. So we'll be passing by a lot of the smaller waterfalls on the left and right hand side. I'll be doing a few turns right around Jurassic Falls so we can all get a good view. These falls off to our right-hand side are called the Kahili Falls, also known as the Five Sister Falls. Anybody seen dinosaurs running around down there? No? And we'll keep making our way westbound here over the ridge lines and onto the drier side of the island next, and then on to the canyons up ahead. And this valley we're flying over top of now with all the waterfalls and the next valley over are actually all privately owned by the same family. It's all owned by the Robinson family. So they came here from New Zealand in 1863, and they bought the island of Niihau first just off the coast of Kauai. They bought that from King Kamehameha for about $10,000 in gold, and a few years later bought all of this land we're flying over now. So they own about 55,000 acres here on Kauai alone, and about 46,000 acres on that of Niihau. So they are the largest private landowners here on Kauai. And most of the land they own is pretty much just like this kind of rugged, rough terrain. There's no roads or houses back here. They're kind of preserving the land the way they found it, and that's the way they prefer to keep it.
What does the family do for a living?
So I'm not sure what they actually do now. They're kind of just like the way they bought it. I think it was just a kind of an investment kind of thing. They used to raise cattle. I think that's what kind of got all their money. I don't know if they raise cattle commercially anymore, but that's originally where they got all their family money, I believe. This is the big valley of Olokele Canyon just in front of us, still owned by the Robinsons. So the island of Niihau is off to our left-hand side in the distance, just below that cloud there. So they bought that first, and they were raising cattle out there. And after about a year and a half or 2 years, the cattle were drinking up all the water out there, so they ran out of the water source. So they asked the king to buy more land here on Kauai with all these rivers running through it. So they had some cattle pastures down there towards the shoreline with a little more green pastures. So they bought all this a few years later. They own about 55,000 acres here on Kauai. Follow this valley underneath us all the way to the ocean off to our left-hand side. That brings you to the town of Waimea. That's the same name of the bigger canyon coming up ahead. So everything behind us is all privately owned and underneath us, but everything in front of us is all public access and owned by the state of Hawaii. So this is all part of Waimea Canyon, also known as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. This is all public access here in Waimea. There's lots of hiking and backpacking trails throughout the area, especially on top of the forest area called Kokee State Park. And there's a few bigger valleys here in Waimea. The first one we're flying up to is called Wailai. And in the very back of this valley on our right-hand side is a bigger waterfall called Wailai Falls. And this is the big valley of Kauai we're flying into now. So the volcano kind of shaped the initial design here of the canyon. And then each of the rivers in the valley kind of carved the depths of them as we see them here today. And you also notice a lot of the dirt here on the side of the hills has that reddish color to it. That has to do with the high iron content of all that lava rock, the basalt rock underneath it. So when it reaches the surface, it'll oxidize just like rust does to give it that reddish tint. And when that dirt makes its way into the water below, it turns the water the same reddish color. So Waimea Canyon actually means a reddish water canyon. And this is the big valley of Po'omau we're entering into now. And in the very back of these two valleys here, there's going to be a couple waterfalls on the left and the right called Mohi'i Falls. So just in front of us is all part of the middle of the island here. So everything in front and off to our left is all a part of the Alakai Swamp. So usually if you think of a swamp, you think of a low-lying area. This is actually at 4,000 feet of elevation here, so it's the highest swamp in the world. And there's actually a trail back here. So if you go around the canyon, there's a Highway 550 goes the whole way around. If you go to the very end of the road, it brings you to the Pihea Trail, which leads into the Alakai Swamp Trail, which goes like a marsh and a bog the whole way through here. But there's a bunch of planks set up to walk on, which is a really cool looking trail there. And how's everyone doing so far? Still good? Awesome. So over this ridge line just ahead of us here, we're coming up on the Napali coast next.
Out of all the waterfalls that you've been showing us, which one would you think would be the best like half-a-day hike that you might be able to get to?
So the half-a-day hike, my favorite one is called the Hanakapiai Falls, which is actually here on the Napali coming up. I'll point that out when we go past it. That's my favorite hike. It's about 8 miles round trip, so like 4 to 5 hours, but worth every minute of it.
structure on top of the mountain to the left?
So that's the NASA Observatory off to our left-hand side, that little dome-shaped building there. Welcome to the Napali coast. Absolutely beautiful, clear day out here today. And this beach off to our left-hand side is the Kalalau Beach. That's the final stop for the trail that goes the whole way along the Napali coast. That's 11 miles one way and also requires a permit to hike. And the beach further to the right is the Hanapu Beach and the Hanapu Sea Arch. So that beach is only reachable by boat or a very long swim from the Kalalau Beach. And these formations in front of us, all these ridges and spires here, these are called the cathedrals. These are all from wind and rain erosion over the years.
Have you seen these islands? Have you seen the beauty of this land? Do you know?
And this big valley here onto our left we're entering into is called Hanapu, also known as the Valley of the Kings. So all the chiefs and kings that ruled along the Napali coast were laid to rest here in the sides of these cliffs in secret caves. And the ancient Hawaiians believed their bones to contain great power, and if that power fell into the wrong hands, it could be used against them. So they had to keep the location of those graves a secret. So they had a warrior lowered by a rope from the top of the cliff into the cliff sides below. And once he was done laying those bones to rest, he would cut his rope, falling to his own death with the secret of that location dying with him. So this is one of the most sacred places here on the island.
This is love. This land of have you felt the power? Mountain craters throwing lava in the air. For its green swept beauty. For each island blossoms everywhere. Have you felt its spirit?
And this big valley we flew over top of on our way into the Napali is called the Kalalau Valley. If you drive to the very end of the road around the canyon, it brings you to an overlook you can drive right up to. Absolutely beautiful view, especially on a nice clear day like today. And there's no longer anyone living here on the Napali, but about 1,000 years ago, there were 500 people living in the valley below. That Kalalau Trail is actually just below us here on the coastline. Kind of falls all the way out to Ke'e Beach near Haena State Park where the trail begins. So 11 miles one way, usually about a day to a day and a half to reach the beach. And the permits required to hike that trail go for sale about 3 months in advance and sell out almost immediately. So it's pretty tough to get a hold of. But people come here from all over the world to hike that trail. And this valley in front of us is about a halfway point for all those hikers. This is called Hanakoa. So if you can't make it out to the beach all in one day, you can camp out in this valley below here as one of the approved camping spots. So this valley here on our right is called Hanakapia. This is the first 2 miles of the Kalao Trail. It brings you up to that beach below. You can do that, hike to the beach, and back that valley is the waterfall I was talking about earlier. If you hike right back that valley is Hanakapia Falls. That's only about an 8-mile round-trip hike. That's my favorite hike here on the island. So once you get to the beach there, you got to kind of hop back and forth across the stream all the way to the very back of the valley there is Hanakapia Falls. And once you get to the falls, you can swim in the pool area there, definitely worth the dip. It's a little bit chilly there, so that water is coming from about 4,000 feet up, so the water is a lot colder, but very refreshing after the long hike. And that trail and all the trails for the Nepali coast all begin just below us here off to our right at Hyena State Park near Ke'e Beach. So that's the very end of the road here on the North Shore, and that's where the Nepali coast begins. And that part does require a pass to get into ahead of time. Usually by a day to a day or two in advance is enough to get a pass. There's a little shuttle. You can park at a parking lot, and a shuttle will drive you to the park. That limits the amount of traffic there from day to day. And we'll climb up here a little bit higher, get one last view of the entire Nepali coast, then we'll continue on shore. There's no access roads out here on the Nepali, so the only way out is by boat, by air, that long hike on the Kalao Trail. And it's just beautiful here this morning. And Kauai has more miles of beaches than any other of the Hawaiian islands. They have about 111 miles of coastline. About 50 of those miles, almost half, are all beaches. One of our nicer beaches is off to our right. It's called Tunnels. And all those waves that are breaking offshore, the reef is hitting down there, and the reef is one of the prettiest places to snorkel here on the island. So if you come up to do the Hanakapia trails, hiking anywhere in Hyena, you stop at Tunnels on the way back to a really cool spot. The parking lot is quite small there, and it fills up very quickly. So the earlier you go, the better spot or chance. And all these homes down here to our right are part of the little town of Hyena. So this is at the Hyena Beach Park. And a lot of celebrities who come to the island here have either vacation homes or timeshares there in Hyena.
How far is this from us in Princeville?
And Princeville, so to get to Hyena off to our right, or even to the very end of the road, it's probably about a half an hour, 20, 30 minutes to get to the very end of the road there. So the drive is pretty slow going. It's like 20 to 30 miles per hour the whole way. There are a few one-lane bridges, I think like 4 or 5 of them on the whole way up to the very end of the road. But it's a nice scenic drive, and it's definitely worth it to get to the very end. And directly ahead of us is all part of the Princeville area, with all the homes and the big green golf course there. And that big white building closest to the beach, that's all a part of the One Hotel. There's a lot of other resorts and hotels in that area. And this is the smaller beach of Waniha off to our right, and the bigger beach of Lumahai off to the right front side.
Are there any good waterfalls that you don't need a pass for, like a day pass?
What's that?
Are there any waterfalls that you don't need to do in advance, like a fast pass?
Yep, so there's a couple in the Kapaa and Wailua areas. So Ho'opii Falls is a nice, probably like 2-hour like round trip hike. So that's Ho'opii, Ho'opii Falls. That's right near the Kapaa area. That's about like say a 2-hour to 2.5-hour round trip. And the Waipo'o Falls, the one we flew by, or so actually a big one in Waimea Canyon. There's one you can hike to there. It's about the same thing, about an hour and a half, 2 hours for the round trip there. And this is the big Honolulu Bay area just ahead of us here. Left side of the beach where the pier comes out into the water is one of the biggest hangout spots there in Honolulu Bay. But the whole way throughout that bay, there's a lot of good surfing spots and some good swimming. So if you're just getting to surf, the Honolulu Pier is one of the best spots. And there's also a point a little further offshore if you're a little more advanced. Just before the Princeville area, if you're coming from Lahui, this is the big beach of Anini off to the real long one. That's some of the best snorkeling here. There's very, very calm waters there. There's a lot of reef there to explore. So it's one of the best snorkeling spots.
What is that called?
Anini. Anini. Yep, so I think it's A-N-N-I-N-I. Anini. Yeah, half the fun of being in Hawaii is trying to pronounce all the names. And just in front of us, this is all part of the Kilauea area. So that little island in front, to the right of that little white building, that's the Kilauea Lighthouse. So that does require a reservation to get in the actual lighthouse, but you can actually drive right up to that little bay area and overlook the lighthouse. And right now, this time of year, all the birds are nesting there right now, so there's tons of bird activity. But definitely recommend checking that out if you have a little bit of time.
Have have you ever seen any whales come up here?
We do. So over the winter time is when they're normally here. So they're kind of at the very end of that season. They're kind of made their migration back north already. The majority of them, anyhow. There are maybe a few left behind, but they're here from about December until April, and then they start making their migration back to southeast Alaska to do all their feeding for the summer, and they'll be back here next winter to do like all their breeding and have all their babies here. So when I was flying in Juneau, Alaska, I actually saw a lot of the same humpback whales there that I did here in the wintertime. It's pretty cool to see that migration and kind of follow it, rather.
I think I see a sea turtle.
Must have some good eyes. Or some really good zoom on the camera, one or two. And this is a really cool beach area off to our right-hand side. This is called Rock Quarry Beach, or Kahili Beach. So it's kind of off to the side, not too many people know about it there, but where the river comes right up to the beach, there's a nice little swimming area, and there's some good surfing. I go surfing there quite a bit. But there's so many beaches here across the island that you wouldn't even know they were there unless you saw them from the air or could have someone tell you about them.
Are there any bioluminescent bays here in Hawaii?
Not that I know of. I have heard there are stories that come here periodically, but not consistently and all year round. So I have heard there are like chances of seeing them, but I haven't seen it yet myself. Actually, I did see some in Alaska when I was there, some bioluminescent plankton, and it was the most crazy thing ever. We were putting out a fire with the seawater. As we put our bucket into the water, it just started sparkling blue. It was the craziest thing ever. We just had to like 20 minutes playing with our hands, getting all blue. It was crazy, but really cool to see.
We've done it in Puerto Rico, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't like swam with it yet. It was a little chilly when I was up there, but I've heard people actually swimming in that plankton. It's got to be just crazy. And this little bay area coming up, what kind of cuts right into the land there is Moloa'a Bay. So a lot of these beaches are the same way here. Not a lot of people know about them, so there's usually a lot less traffic there. I forgot to mention, if we just passed a little bit further back there, just closer to Kilauea, is Mark Zuckerberg's house he's building now. He has about between 600 and 700 acres of land that he's building his big compound on. So we'll see him flying down to the airport in his private helicopter every now and then. And we're coming up on the Anahola area just ahead of us here. So they have a couple of bigger, have an actual Anahola beach park, but the same thing. There's a couple of smaller beaches the whole way up the valley here.
not too big, facts stand small. The people there.
What kind of farms are these to the right?
So some of these are actually botanical gardens. They have some different trees like our native ohia trees and some of the kukui nut trees as well. But a lot of those are probably, I would say, kukui nut and ohia trees there. So the kukui nut is also known as like the candle nut. So the little nuts are almost like little hazelnuts almost, but they have a very high fat content. So you can actually light them on fire and they'll burn like a candle. That's why they call them candle nuts. They're pretty cool.
When I was young, not too smart, I left my home looking for a brand new start.
And this is the Anahola Beach Park off to our right-hand side here.
That's better still. Now I know I never will. Helion to Kauai, Hanalei by the bay, Wailua River Valley, where I used to play. The canyons of Waimea, standing all alone. The magic of the garden now, calling me back home. Hanalei by the bay, Wailua River Valley is where I used to play. Canyons of Waimea, standing all alone.
How fast are we flying right now?
We're about 110 miles per hour, so we're moving along pretty good. Doesn't feel like it does it. So it's like a little bit different here from the air, but it's moving along pretty good up here. And a nice smooth day to hear this. There's very little wind and turbulence, always make things a little bit nicer.
Where is the volcano?
So the volcano is actually just off our right-hand side inland, and I can see all the clouds there. It's almost always in a cloud here like today, but that's all the way back kind of in the middle of the island. So that's also the wettest place we have here on the island, about 450 inches of rainfall every single year. So that's the extinct volcano. So the only active volcano we have here is on the big island of Hawaii. We have two there. It's Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa.
What are some of the natural disasters that you guys can see in Kauai?
So, of course, on the big island, so sometimes the lava flows doesn't really erupt aggressively, but they will like block roads sometimes and kind of wash away some different roads and even some houses occasionally. But here, we have a lot of water issues. So we had a big storm here about 3 weeks ago that had 13 inches of rainfall overnight. So just dumped rain, thunderstorms, and that kind of washed out a lot of our bridges here. We had some damage to our bridges, and we actually some houses flood, some cars float away, things like that. So that's our biggest issue we're kind of fighting here in Kauai, is just the amount of water we get every single year. And occasionally we get some like monsoons, and there has been a few hurricanes. The last two big hurricanes haven't been since the 80s and 90s. So there was Hurricane Aniki, I believe it was called in 92, was the last big hurricane we had here, and that did a lot of damage. But those are the bigger hazards we'll kind of be aware of here on the islands. And this is Kealia Beach off to our right-hand side here. And we're heading into the Kapaa area. So this big town here is all part of Kapaa Town, and behind that is all part of the town of Wailua. So those are our bigger residential areas here on the island. Only about 70,000 people here on Kauai compared to almost 1 million people on Oahu. So this is one of the smaller, more laid-back islands, which I kind of prefer. There's almost 1 million people on Oahu, and it feels like a big city there, like New York or Baltimore. So I kind of prefer the laid-back rural feel here. And this is the Wailua area. Kind of follow this river back up here. There's going to be a little area here I want to show you, a little waterfall on the way back in. This is the Sleeping Giant Mountain here to our right. It's a really cool hike. It's about a 3-mile round trip, so it's taking about an hour and a half to 2 hours round trip. And that gives you a great view of the whole east side of the island here. And this is the Wailua River just beneath us here. A lot of good paddleboarding and kayaking there the whole way up and down the river. There's also some tours that operate for that as well. And the very back of this valley here where the river kind of follows goes to Wailua Falls I want to show you. And this one you can drive right up to the top of it. So from the airport, it's about a 15-minute drive or so, and it puts you at a big overlook at the very top. But Wailua Falls is just off our right-hand side, the very back of this valley, next to that big white building there.
Accessible to jump in or no?
This actually is blocked off, so there has been some access there in the past. But just for safety reasons, they have it blocked off to walk down to it right now. That's the big parking lot right at the very top there. And usually I have some, usually a few trucks there selling some fresh fruit and some coconut stuff like that there.
Where is the waterfall known as Secret Falls?
Secret Falls, that's actually up the Wailua River. So we kind of flew over top of it. You can't see it from the air. It's kind of in the jungle a little bit. But if you do the kayak tour on the Wailua River, there's a spot that goes right up to Secret Falls. And that's a really cool trek. So it's like an hour paddle or kayak up the river. It's about an hour hike there and back, and then it's about an hour, so like 3 to 4 hours there roughly for a round trip at the falls. That's a really cool hike and paddle there. And just in front of us is the lil-fuq and the airport area, so I'll be a little busy talking with the tower again on the way back in. So I just want to thank you guys for flying with lil-fuq today. Hope you had a good time, a good flight. Got to see a cool side of Kauai from the air, and we appreciate your feedback, so feel free to leave a review. If you had a good flight, my name is Isaiah. If it wasn't a good flight, my name is Gary. And we'll be back at the airport in a few more minutes.
Thank you, Gary.
You're very welcome.
Could be sad, but I'd rather you not be. Don't dwell on the negative, just the positivity. And it's a beautiful day. Just a beautiful day. We're always trying to satisfy these wants and needs. Take you some time for that inner peace. When your eyes are open, you see things differently. There's so much gloom out in the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah. Take a look at the sky. Just a beautiful day. Just a beautiful day. I could be sad, but you rather me not be. Don't dwell on the negative, just the positivity.